Welcome to Tales Unfold. My name is Blossom, and today we discuss other important notes about psychic protection. A little while back we discussed some of the methods you can use for clearing yourself in the first place, and also how to protect your personal energy field. So if you haven't already, I would suggest to go back and listen to this as well. I will put it all in the description box. So let's dive into the topic, especially if you work with spirits. If you work in any way with spirit, either human spirits, the Fae, thought or life forms like egregores for example, or even the darker, heavier energy beings, I feel it is necessary to up your protection game a bit. And at this point we come back to the very basics, yet often forgotten due to the fancy work of crafting very elaborate rituals or other wondrous concepts. One of the most important parts is to know thyself. To protect yourself from the influences that spirits can have over you, it is so crucial to know yourself. This can be very deep work to fully understand yourself, your own emotions and your own thoughts, and it needs a lot of healing and clearing in the first place. It also includes shadow work, which I often see just as getting to know yourself better and own all of your sides, which it basically is. The better you know yourself, the better you understand which is yours and which is not. This is also important for highly sensitive people and empaths. Often when a thought or life form influences you, or even if a heavy energy being is around you, you might experience heightened feelings of anxiety and worry much more. Perhaps you start swearing more while you usually don't swear. You might retreat while usually you are quite social. Maybe you even change what you consume. Either you watch more violence on TV, you eat different food, you might spend more time doom scrolling, or you start buying things you truly don't need, etc. etc. These changes can be quite subtle at first, so therefore it is important to know yourself. I always love when I get clients who are really aware of this, because it's easier for them to know what could be influenced by spirit and what is actually theirs. Luckily, I find that more and more people become more aware of that. To get to know yourself better, exercises like journaling can be helpful, or meditation, or simply being more mindful and more present. After all, we are quite a distracted lot. Ask yourself many questions about your personality traits and be brutally honest. No love and light here, just tough love. Learn about what your core values are and why they are important to you. Pay attention to your inner dialogue, especially when you are calm and after you cleared yourself. Is it calmer? Are you very critical? Does it become harsher after certain interactions? Dig deeper into your emotions. What lies beneath the impatience, the frustration or anger? Is there any grief hidden deep within? Give yourself time to get to know yourself better. Make time for this new friendship. This will not happen overnight. Then you will be able to notice if there are any outside influences. Boundaries. Another point of protection is setting boundaries. Especially if you work with spirits, it is important to be very clear about what you will allow and what is a breach of these boundaries. State them out loud and stick to them. You might be intrigued to work with spirits or perhaps even the fairies, but maybe you don't want them in your home. And that is totally okay and valid. And you should tell them. You can create either a physical space for them outside, for example in your garden, or if you even don't want them in your garden, even though fairies would be nice if you could arrange something. That can also be a place in the forest, one of your favorite places in the forest, for example, or in a park, or whatever you can think of. Or perhaps consider creating a space for them on the astral plane. Also make clear if you don't want them to enter your dreams. Darker or heavier energy beings love to feed on fear and can influence your dreams. So if you don't want nightmares, tell them to keep out. Shout it if you must. Be respectful toward each being, but communicate clearly with them. They might overstep every now and then. Just keep insisting. Sometimes we also come across some tricksters. You can also make them understand not to mess with your electricity and not to steal your possessions. Fairies often like to borrow your things, but when you give them regular offerings, that should do the trick, and if not, ask them to return your things. Also be clear that any of the spirits you work with are not to mess with your pets, your children, your partner, or anyone else you live with. You can tell them if they don't honor your boundaries that you will make them leave. Even darker beings can honor these boundaries if you have a proper relationship with them. I know most people don't work with them, I just want to include it so that you are prepared. If we talk about boundaries, I can also mention wards. You can set up your wards around your property if you don't want any spirits in your home. You can use very simple things like sticks or stones as wards, but also figurines can become a ward if you choose so. But it is important to clear your space before you set up wards, otherwise you trap all the yuck inside your home. Be very clear about your intention. What do you need them for? What should they protect you from? Perhaps you want to meditate on this and write it down later, so you know what you're actually asking for. Then you can use visualization techniques to bring them to life. Imagine them in a way that makes sense to you. You can also use consecrated oil or water to draw protective symbols on them. Use clear language as you activate your wards. So if you want to protect your entire home, I would suggest to have 4 sticks, stones, or whatever you choose on the 4 corners of your property. It is also important to charge them regularly. Choose a cycle that makes sense to you. That can be every full moon or every new moon. It can be weekly or for each of the festivals, for example. To charge them, you can state again their purpose or use visualization. If you are a Reiki practitioner, you can also charge them with Reiki. If you want more details about how to create wards, please let me know. I just try to include that as a short introduction to it, basically. Now, another way you can protect yourself is your guides. You can always ask your guides to be with you and to protect you. You are not alone, and you only need to ask. These guides can be anything from angels to fairies over to dragons or your ancestors. If you give off the vibe that you can do it all alone, they might just take a step back and let you figure it out for yourself. But if you ask them to watch over you, they will not deny you this request. Perhaps you don't even know your guides yet. Then it is a good time to connect with them more deeply, get to know them, establish a relationship with them. But you can already ask them for their protection. If you work with deity, you can also ask them for protection and guidance. However, do not just take from them. Offer something in return. They are not your personal servants. What those offerings could be is for you to figure out as you deepen your relationship with them. You can also strengthen the relationship with your guardian of the home and ask him to help you to protect it. Start a dialogue with that being and figure out what it needs protection from. What are the guardian's boundaries? You can do that via divination like tarot or oracle card, runes, or dowsing. Or sitting in silent meditation and wait for messages to come up. Now, as you see, there are many ways to protect your space and yourself and your family. And this is not a full list. I just try to break it down into smaller sections, because it's such an important part of the work, and as we have already established, there are many ways. So if you have any questions, or if you have any other ideas how to protect yourself in your magical practice, or in your witchcraft, or in your energy work, feel free to connect with me. Head over to talesunfold.com and email me. I'm always happy to read your emails. Thank you so much for listening. I hope your world is kind. Much love and bye.